Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn,
and Eddie Williams.
and tonight we're back into doing an audio review again. This time we're talking about 2018's Mowgli: Legend of the Jungle, or just simply known as Mowgli, as it's shortened to. And this is directed by Andy Serkis and is based on the stories collected in all the Mowgli stories by Rudyard Kipling, which, if you know, was the original Jungle Book, where the original Jungle Book came from. And this is now the second and this features the voice talents of Christian Bale, and it also has Benedict Cumberbatch, Kate Blanchett, Andy Serkis himself, and it features new upcoming star Rohan Chand and Matthew Rice in the human roles. And
this is basically the second adaptation to Jungle Book franchise in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We had one in 2016, which was more for the Disney live actions that we're starting to get, and this one's a Netflix release movie.
Yeah, this one originally started out as a theatrical film that Andy Serkis wanted to do back in a couple years ago, but due to timing with the 2016 Disney, which came out, which I haven't seen, but Eddie has. And when that one came out, they already adapted. It was basically a remake of the cartoon one that they did, and basically he wanted to push it back farther so that way not to compete with it. But around this year in 2018, that he was actually going to have it released in theaters by Warner Brothers, but due to some licensing issues, Netflix acquired a deal with the distribution rights. So unfortunately, the film had to end up going to limited theaters theatrically, and then it actually went straight to Netflix afterwards.
Yeah.
And so, ever since this movie, I heard about this movie come out, it's actually kind of got me curious because growing up, because in the story in this one, it basically deals where you have Mowgli, who is this boy who starts out. He ends up being raised in the animal kingdom. Not to spoil anything, but basically the story deals with him having to try to adapt in the jungle, and he wants to become pretty much, part of the wolf pack and everything. And there's some stuff that goes down where
basically it's basic elements of Jungle Book, but with this one, it's very dark.
Yeah, it takes a different story it takes a story where you're dealing with the kind of basic elements where, you get Khan the tiger, who's the bad guy trying to run things, and Mowgli's having
the snake.
Yeah, and you get the snake and everything like that. But this one also deals where you have basically Mowgli having to choose between either the animal life or also eventually wanting to choose the human life. So it actually questions a morality, which I don't know if that's ever been covered in the other films, but this is the first time I've ever seen something like this before. And
I think it's a lot of it's newly covered because a lot of people don't know that this movie is very dark, and there's some actually bloody parts in this film. Stuff they couldn't get away with in Disney version. So there was stuff that Andy Serkis was able to elaborate on that he couldn't do, that nobody couldn't do in the 2016, because that was more for Disney.
Yeah, and with this one. This one actually kind of got me curious coming out with it because I like the idea that Andy Serkis was going to do a more darker version.
Me at first when it was coming out, because it was actually announced when 2016 was coming. I'm like, we're getting 2 Jungle Book film movies? What the hell?
Well, it actually was going to.
What the hell was going on?
Well, from what I heard, it was actually going to come out last year, but they pushed it back in order to work on the effects. And also, it was originally going to be called The Jungle Book Origins, but then they later changed the title to just Mowgli to kind of deviate it from the original Jungle Book movie.
Well, yeah, especially after some of the brutality that happens in this film. You don't want the term Jungle Book, and then and it's funny because my girlfriend's kids saw this movie, and after I got done watching it, I'm like, oh, man, that's borderline scary for kids.
Yeah, and after, I gotta admit, after finally upon seeing the film, since it's come out, I can say that I do enjoy it, but it does have quite some flaws to it. Yeah. Now, I keep in mind, I haven't seen the 2016 one, so Eddie will fill me in on some things I missed from that one. But going based on just seeing the original cartoon version, I enjoy the original Disney cartoon from the back in the day. but it's been a long time since I've really seen that, so I can't really compare it.
Yeah, the cartoon, I remember watching it, and, you know, it was still iconic classic. A lot of people don't ever bring up the 1994 or 6, I think it was.
I think it was 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 94, and I actually watched that one. That was kind of like in my time, you know, seeing that as a kid. And believe it or not, I still think it's underrated. A lot of people don't talk about it.
I know. I haven't fully watched that one. It's
actually the most different one because it's Mowgli when he's actually an adult. He's an actual adult.
Yeah, they've had different reincarnations of Mowgli adapted into film, and that was one that I heard, that they decided to go where he's more of an adult instead of a kid. So, but I thought
it was a damn good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I remember quite enjoying that one.
I hear you.
2016, it was good. It was good, visually stunning and all that stuff. I mean, what can you say? It's a carbon copy from the cartoons. It's no different from Beauty and the Beast, what Dumbo's going to be, what, you know, all of these movies that are going to live action is going to be. But it's still good.
Yeah, definitely. Now, going into this one, I can say that, with this one, I can say this was good, but it does have some flaws. So, to get my pros out of the way, I'll say the story, from the way that it dives into, I actually really got into how it was kind of taking a more darker angle, because we see
that was a plus for me. That it deviated from me being worried that they were going to go and carbon copy, and I'm like, oh shit, don't do that. We just got one. And it changed. It kind of blew me away in the dark tone. I love the dark tone, and I like you said, the dark storyline they go with.
Yeah, same here. And I especially like the way that Mowgli has to try to question his morality in this. You know, like we were saying, where he has to basically he's conflicted whether to, you know, be joining the actual humans or to just stay in the actual animal kingdom. And I like how the movie builds upon that.
And it's also the animals. It's also the animals playing his morality too, in them, because they're wondering if it's even safe to keep him around, because Shakan is like fucking evil in this one.
Yeah, he definitely is, and that's another pro. And I like from the way that the story really builds on this. I like that they were taking a more different direction with the way it plans it out. Now, this is brings it to another factor. I enjoy the performances in this are all complete. The cast was phenomenal.
The cast was phenomenal. My favorite was Christian Bale, and I liked he played awesome. I can't remember the Panther's name.
Bagheera.
Great as Blue, and I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was the best Shakan.
Yeah, in fact, what's crazy is that Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Khan, he sounds like he's very spot on, like the original guy from the cartoon version, because his voice sounds just like him in some parts.
Exactly.
So
the cast in this one, I thought was way more phenomenal than the 2016s.
Fair enough, and so they all did great. And I also got to admit that from what Andy Serkis captures on the visuals, like especially with the cinematography, and for some of the part they use with the motion capture, the special effects themselves, they look good, but we'll get to our cons later, there are some parts where the visual effects do seem a little too uncanny valious, where even though it's all motion capture, there are points where
seeing the 2016s and able to compare, and I will compare, hit and miss. There are it's a well shot movie. Mowgli is, but there's things that I just, you know, I'll get to my cons in that part. But another thing I ended up liking was probably one of the strongest points is. So I was surprised at how bloody it was.
Yeah, I know. That really takes it takes quite a dark turn.
People are losing their lives, and they're losing their lives in kind of like messed up ways.
Yeah, exactly. And it gets to a point later where we won't spoil anything, but it gets to a really like unexpected turn where I just went like, "Whoa! I didn't think it would go that route."
Yeah, it surprised me, and to me, it's a pro, because like I said just a minute ago, my worries was repeating what 2016 did. I'm like, another one, you know, and it didn't do that. It takes the same basic elements, which still is a good thing. If you have basic elements there, but kind of do your own dark tone, that works.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And plus, also, I do also give credit to the boy who played Mowgli. I thought that, you know, he carried he carried the film as well with a lot of the scenes of him and
I actually think that I like this boy a tad bit better than I did in 2016 one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really compare.
They almost look like they're the same actors, anyways. The
Yeah.
funniest thing about that is I thought almost it was identical. They were so identical, but I don't know. I really kind of can't really make a comparison on that. I mean, the boy to me I thought had a lot to work with on this one compared to the 2016 one, where the kid was just pretty much playing a very good performance, but he was reenacting pretty much the kid from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be a fun, colorful like that. This one, this kid had more. He had to bring more to the table because he's in a dark movie.
Yeah, and I like a lot of I like the whole like kind of brother angle that he has with him and Bagheera, the Christian Bale's the Panther character. I like that they really because he's really trying.
I will say that for what it's worth, it was kind of weird not seeing much of a connection with him and Baloo in this one.
Yeah, because Baloo in this, one thing I appreciate was that he's playing more of a stern, more like kind of like coach type of like gorilla compared to the other one. Because the other one he was more. I haven't seen him, but
you mean not gorilla? You mean bear?
Bear. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, Bear, and because they make him where he's more of like the more stern, like hard edge type of teacher, basically.
Yeah, where he's never like speaks in a soft tone. He's always pushy.
Yeah, although he does.
I believe that's usually the Panther that does it, but they switched it.
Yeah,
in this one.
And so, what I do enjoy as well with the movie too is
the Panther. I think I remember from the other one. He's generally the bossy one.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah. So for the way that the movie goes along with its story, the way it plans out, the direction by Andy Serkis as a first time director, he really shines in a lot of shots that he gets with the jungle itself, and there is some. I like the score too that he uses as well. It's pretty good. So all around the production design and the actual like the way that the story goes through, it really keeps me going. But this is kind of where we get to our cons.
It is a very keep going movie. I was actually thinking I was going to get bored with it because I thought it was going to be shot for shot just what I've seen before. But believe it or not, it actually keeps you invested.
Yeah, but this is now where we get to our cons, and I'll say that as much like we were saying earlier with the effects, the way they do on some of the characters. The rest of it's very it's kind of mixed because there are a lot of other the creatures they use in this that I felt the CGI looked a little too artificial. Like the first one we get to is some of the wolves. Now I'm kind of hit and miss. Some of the wolves do look a little. They look a little too PS3-ish video game quality.
Exactly. You could see a lot of very artificialness to them, especially it also whenever in certain scenes where they're in and some of the other animals are in, it can conflict the background and making the background look artificial too.
I'm
like,
now if it would have been in 3D, it probably would have probably enhanced the visual level, but unfortunately this was just in 2D. But
the Panther and Baloo were probably were pretty much the best looking ones. I thought the Panther was the best rendered one because there was a lot of dark scenes that he blended so well in, and it made it stand out very well. Baloo was good. It wasn't bad at all. Shakan, he was hit and miss for me. There were some parts I kind of cringed at, but like the 2016 one, the worst fucking one is the snake.
Yeah, apparently because when I first saw it, I was like, that looks not right. No, that looks really off. Now, I haven't seen the 2016 one, but from what you're telling me, it sounds like, they're both pretty much like, they both screwed up on that.
2016, the snake, and another con I have is the fact that I feel like both movies, the snake plays no need in the storyline at all. I can't remember vividly in the cartoon, but I do remember the snake in and out throughout the whole story, so it made sense for him to just pop out and be in the movie. In this one, maybe this one's presence is a little bit longer than 2016's, because 2016's the snake is in it for a scene and that's it. It's like blank, it's over with.
Yeah.
And the CGI was really bad with that snake in 2016. That was probably one of my only few cons I had. In this one, the snake looks even fucking worse than that one. But I guess I could say they gave him just a tad bit more screen time than 2016's. But that ain't saying much because really I felt like the presence was still pointless. I'm like, what are you in this storyline?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But, like, that's what I'm saying. It really looked, it seemed like they didn't really have much of a purpose. Though, I do get why they use this character, because there's something that foreshadows something that goes on with Mowgli's character that does kind of pay off in the end. So, I kind of get why they use the character in this.
I can see the use in this one. Okay. Maybe just a tab. I feel like that snakes, maybe it did have a purpose. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Just I felt like the snake is so pointless.
Yeah.
In both films. But I can see the purpose doing a lot better. Like I said, the purpose is better in this one than it is in the other one. Because the other one is like, what the why were you even in this one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now, the other issue that I had personally was that, well, two things. One, the pacing does feel like it does kind of like delve off a little, because there's a section of the film where it's like in the middle where it does feel like it kind of veers off into dragging the film out a lot longer than it needed to be. And I get why they do it.
You can say that's just a minor for me. I didn't really see much of that. My issue was mainly the second half. The first half is a great build-up, but that second half, to me, man, it just feels like it was rushed and it was jumping all over the place.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that now that I think about it. The other thing I had, this is kind of like where it falls into. A couple of times it does feel like the tone, even though they're going like a full more darker route, the movie did kind of struggle a little bit on if it was trying to go for a more, because there are scenes where you're seeing serious points happen, but there are scenes immediately following after where it tries to be all kind of like whimsical and kind of cutesy, and it feels a little out of place.
Well, this ain't really much of a spoiler because I guess everybody can easily predict this is going to happen. The Mowgli versus Khan was a little bit anticlimactic.
Yeah,
like, it just was like, okay.
Yeah, it should have went on. It should have had a better climax.
He came out and then it's like he didn't really need much. It's like, okay, that was quick.
Well, and also that made me kind of feel like the other villain that they set up in this, I felt was a little underused, because the movie is trying to stick to Shao Kahn as like the main, bad guy, but they set up this other guy that's later on in the film. But I felt like the movie couldn't really decide what to really do with this character.
Exactly. They do start him off really well. Now you got this human guy. And it's like, who's going to take it? And they start building up a good villainous storyline with them. And it's like, in the end, if you sit there and think about it, it's like, what did he serve other than adding on to the darkness of the tone of the movie? Because he just,
That's what I'm saying. He really didn't have much of a purpose. I mean, there's a event like
he tries to help Mowgli a little bit, like trying to, he runs into him. It's like, what was his fascination in just running into him? It made me I had a hard time understanding that. Yeah,
so there was my issue with that, but there's more we do want to go into detail. But there's, like I said, we're trying to avoid like spoilers for this, so. Like, I will say that despite some of the problems that I did have with it, I will say I was actually glad that they did a dark version of the Jungle Book. And
exactly, I'm glad they didn't carbon copy and did the same children's told story, and I thought it was actually pretty decent despite some flaws.
Yeah, so with that, I'm going to give this probably just a compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, I'm going to go a very low compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Fair enough. And for those of you who have also seen Mowgli, and also the other adaptations of the Jungle Book, let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel, and check out some other reviews here in our website at filmphreeks.com, and we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.